the courtroom, we see Donald Trump for who he is. He's been convicted of 34 felonies, found liable for sexual assault, and he committed financial fraud. Meanwhile, Joe Biden's been working, lowering healthcare costs and making big corporations pay their fair share. This election is between a convicted criminal who's only out for himself and a president who's fighting for your family.
So that's a new ad by the Biden campaign. You're probably not shocked by that, but you should probably be a little bit shocked by the content of it because that went pretty hard against Donald Trump. Not in the way that political ads normally do, where they like go way beyond the facts or exaggerate or whatever. Everything that they said is true about the criminal convictions. And I'd also like to thank them for not skipping over the sexual abuse, the defamation, and the fraud as well. People seem to forget that all that happened early this year. But the reason that it's surprising is it had really seemed coming out of those convictions, the Biden camp wanted to really keep these allegations at arm's length, not allegations, the convictions. They didn't want to focus on it too much. Maybe they thought that if they were to focus on it, talk about it a lot, it would seem as if, well, maybe they were behind it. But that is clearly changing, and we can debate why that might be, but that was pretty strong. And they're putting $50 million into the ad buy between now and apparently when they debate for the first time, which is coming up in less than 10 days.
The video will continue in just a moment, but first I have a message for you. TYT needs your help. Membership is vital to survival, so please go to tyt.com/team and become a member today.
Biden needs to stop running from the Trump trials, right? And the Trump convictions, especially because so many of them are now being slow walked, from a number of reasons. And then of course you have the Georgia RICO case where, Fani Willis is, everything sort of hangs in the balance over there over some, in my opinion, BS. You've got Eileen Cannon slow walking, the classified documents case, which is then holding up Jack Smith's case. All that to be said, there are these convictions. Like he did this to himself, and this is on top of, again, yes, the sexual abuse stuff. So I say, I wanted Biden, honestly, to be smoking a cigar the day that Trump was convicted of felon, like making fun of it, But of course, I didn't get that, and of course, MAGA would lose their minds, even though they would have done the exact same thing and they would have loved it. And they love scoring political points. They love weaponizing any kind of courts against their political enemies. But yeah, so I'm glad that at least Biden is acknowledging it, like they're acknowledging the campaign.
Yeah, no, and we know the massive hypocrisy. The right is salivating over the prospect of locking people. They don't even know what the crime, they're not even speculating about a specific crime. They just want someone, anyone, everyone, please lock them up. Yes. Now that ad buy is out there. Also bear in mind, apparently he is going to talk about it at the debate. I think that's that's going to be a very interesting moment, assuming the debate even happens, because I still think Trump could pull out. But assuming he doesn't, and Biden brings that up, what does Trump do? He'll claim that it was political persecution or whatever. Is he going to be able to do that in a way that will really perform well? I mean, he's going to say, that Hunter was locked up or whatever. It might end up making the Bidens look really sympathetic. I think this could be a really risky area for both of them, and I can't wait to see how they handle it. But I also want to let you know that one of the reasons we want to talk about this is that there does seem to have been some effect of those convictions. We've now had a little bit more time for polls to come out. And a new Politico Ipsos survey found that 21% of independents said they're now less likely to vote for Trump after the conviction, adding that the guilty verdict in the hush money case is very important to how they will vote in November. 5% of independents said the verdict was an important factor and that the conviction makes them more likely to support Trump. So take that for what you will. 7% of Republicans said they're less likely to support Trump and that the conviction was important in determining those votes. So neither of those numbers are nearly as high as they should be, but it's 2024. We're a decade into all this nonsense, so maybe they're higher than we would expect them to be.
It's not a good look. I'm sorry, there's no way to square this. You can make as many t-shirts as you want with Trump's mugshot on it, but it's not a good look to be a convicted felon. I'm sorry. If Hunter Biden were the one running for president, his campaign would be absolutely destroyed by now. And I do think it's a great point, John, what you're saying about whether or not Biden will mention Hunter's convictions in the debate, which if he does, it is a win because it's one of the things that he knows how to speak to incredibly beautifully and empathetically, where he talks about Hunter's struggles with addiction and that he's always been there for him and that he supports him, but he understands this conviction and like, I mean, it could be an opportunity to talk about gun safety and why he doesn't want guns in the hands of people who, are struggle with addiction, like, or mental illness. Like, it is just, it's setting him up. So I hope Biden goes there. And the other thing I was gonna say, yeah, man, 12 jurors in New York convicted Donald Trump, and they weren't all Democrats. They weren't all crazy right wingers. Some of them get their news from like Truth Social and watch News Nation, or not News Nation, whatever the ones are. Newsmax. Thank you, other part of Franny's brain that tries to ignore right-wing media. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, these were people who saw the evidence and they were like, yeah, no, he did it and he's guilty, so.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and bear in mind, I mean, it's the 12 jurors there, and it's all the jurors on the New York fraud case, and it's all the jurors on the E. Jean Carroll case.
Yes.
There wasn't a single person across these three that was like, no, it's like, no, I'm not gonna let you do it. Like, they were convinced by the actual evidence. Thanks for watching our video. Did you know that you can support our show by becoming a subscriber? Just click the subscribe button and also ring the bell so that you get notifications when we're live or when we post new content.